Discussion on verses 1 to 44 of 44. The leaders among the non-Muslims of Mecca, much like individuals in every generation, adopted various strategies to prevent others from embracing Islam, motivated by a desire to protect their leadership, social standing, and influence. One particular tactic was to demand that the punishment promised by Allah, the Exalted, be brought upon them immediately. When Allah, the Exalted, in His infinite wisdom and mercy, granted them respite for the sake of repentance and reform, they falsely interpreted this delay as evidence that the promised punishment would never occur. Chapter 70 Al-Ma'arij, verse 1.
A questioner asked for a punishment bound to happen.
This verse serves as a warning to anyone who misuses the blessings they have been granted, reminding them not to be deceived into assuming that the absence of immediate consequences means that punishment will never arrive. Chapter 70 Al-Ma'arij, verses 2 to 3.
To the disbelievers, of it there is no preventer. It is from Allah, owner of the ways of ascent.
In the worldly context, a similar pattern can be observed. Individuals who persist in disobedience to Allah, the Exalted, and misuse the resources and blessings entrusted to them, often experience imbalance in their mental and physical states. Their lives become disordered, as they misplace priorities and fail to properly allocate time, attention and care to family, friends, work and other responsibilities. Consequently, even those relationships and resources that are inherently good can become sources of stress and frustration. As they continue to reject obedience, they may unjustly blame others for their difficulties, targeting loved ones such as spouses, friends or colleagues. In doing so, they alienate those who could bring balance, support and peace into their lives, further deepening emotional distress. Over time, this pattern can spiral into severe mental health issues, including depression, substance dependence, or even suicidal tendencies. This trajectory is evident among many who, despite possessing wealth, social influence, or worldly comforts, misuse their blessings, fail to prepare for accountability on Judgment Day, and allow their lives to descend into disorder. Their inability to act on divine guidance results in stress, regret, and spiritual deprivation in this life, and as warned, far greater consequences in the hereafter. Chapter 70 Al-Ma'arij, verse 4.
The angels and the Spirit will ascend to him during a day, the extent of which is 50,000 years.
This verse emphasizes the certainty and magnitude of divine recompense, a reality far beyond human comprehension. While time in this world is fleeting and limited, the consequences of neglecting preparation for accountability are immense and enduring. The lesson is unmistakable. The apparent delay of punishment in this life should never be misinterpreted as inaction on the part of Allah, the Exalted. Misusing the blessings granted to one, whether wealth, health, knowledge, or relationships, only magnifies both immediate and long-term difficulties, compounding stress in this life and consequences in the hereafter. By reflecting deeply on these verses and observing the outcomes of disobedience in the lives of those who ignore Allah, the Exalted, individuals can cultivate patience, a quality essential for sustaining obedience. Patience enables one to correctly use the blessings they have been granted according to Islamic teachings, even when the immediate effects of disobedience are not visible. Chapter 70 Al-Ma'arij, verse 5.
So be patient with gracious patience.
This form of patient perseverance is not passive. It involves actively maintaining faith, controlling desires, and using one's blessings in ways that align with divine guidance. Through such patience, a person attains a balanced mental and physical state, places everything and everyone in their life correctly, and prepares adequately for their accountability on the Day of Judgment. This approach ensures lasting peace of mind in both worlds, as obedience, reflection, and the mindful stewardship of blessings cultivate harmony within the individual while fulfilling the divine mandate of accountability. In general, when a person chooses to follow the path of Islamic guidance, differing from the behaviors and values of their peers, it often provokes discomfort or insecurity in others who prioritize personal desires over obedience to Allah, the Exalted. This can manifest as criticism or even ostracism, frequently coming from family or close acquaintances who feel threatened by the example of steadfast faith. Beyond the immediate social circle, wider societal pressures, amplified by social media, fashion trends, and prevailing cultural norms, intensify this challenge. Those who sincerely uphold Islamic principles may be viewed as obstacles to ambitions for wealth, prestige, or influence. Industries and social systems that Islam critiques often resist the integration of its teachings, subtly discouraging Muslims from practicing their faith. These influences fuel anti-Islamic sentiment, creating an environment in which adherence to Islam is portrayed as a hindrance to personal advancement. Individuals striving to live in accordance with Islamic teachings, which promote moderation, self-discipline, and the responsible enjoyment of blessings, are frequently confronted by criticism from those indulging unchecked desires. Such critics often attempt to divert Muslims from their faith, portraying Islam as restrictive or burdensome. Common targets include elements like the Islamic dress code for women, which is singled out for condemnation, despite society widely accepting and celebrating uniforms in law enforcement, healthcare, education, and business. This selective criticism exposes the superficiality of their objections and reflects a deeper resentment toward the disciplined behavior and ethical standards that Islam cultivates. Historically, such opposition mirrors the tactics of the leaders of the non-Muslims of Mecca, who sought to prevent the spread of Islam and demanded immediate divine punishment. Pursuing approval from others at the expense of obedience to Allah, the Exalted, inevitably leads to inner turmoil. Misusing the blessings one has been given results in disarray, mental strain, physical unrest, and mismanagement of relationships and responsibilities. Such a person becomes unprepared for the accountability that awaits on the Day of Judgment, facing stress and difficulties both in this life and the next, regardless of material comforts they may enjoy. In contrast, unwavering commitment to the sincere obedience of Allah, the Exalted, provides protection against external pressures and cultivates true serenity, even when the benefits are not immediately apparent. Chapter 70 Al-Ma'arij, verse 5.
So be patient with gracious patience.
This patience is coupled with loyalty to Allah, the Exalted, which ensures that the blessings granted are used properly. Such disciplined stewardship fosters a harmonious mental and physical state, enabling a person to organize their life and relationships effectively, while simultaneously preparing for accountability on the Day of Judgment, a day which is close. Chapter 70 Al-Ma'arij, verses 6-7.
Indeed they see it, i.e., Judgment Day distant. But we see it near.
In reality, although the Day of Judgment may appear distant in terms of years, the accountability of every individual begins immediately upon their death, a moment that is both inevitable and unpredictable. For this reason, one must not rely on false hopes of a long life, as such expectations often prevent the adoption of correct behavior necessary to adequately prepare for the Day of Judgment. In truth, the hope for longevity is one of the primary causes that leads a person to prioritize the accumulation of worldly possessions over the preparation for the hereafter. One need only examine their daily routine over a 24-hour period to observe how much time is devoted to material pursuits versus spiritual preparation. This reality underscores how easily false expectations of a long life, perpetuated by the devil, can misguide people. When individuals believe they have ample time, they delay sincere preparation for the hereafter, often postponing actions of repentance, moral reform, and the use of blessings in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted. Yet in most cases, the near future they plan for never arrives, and they pass away without having sufficiently prepared for what follows. Furthermore, the false hope of extended life encourages procrastination in repentance and personal reform, fostering attachment to the material world. People are driven to hoard wealth and other worldly resources, fearing that in old age they may lack sustenance or support when their physical abilities decline. They forget that Allah, the Exalted, who provided for them in youth, will continue to provide in old age. In fact, Allah, the Exalted, had determined the provision of every creature over 50,000 years before the creation of the heavens and the earth, a fact confirmed in a hadith recorded in Sahih Muslim, number 6748. It is striking that many dedicate decades of their lives, often 40 years or more, saving for retirement, which in most cases lasts far less than the period of accumulation, yet fail to make equivalent preparation for the eternal hereafter, which lasts forever. Islam does not discourage preparation for worldly needs, but it emphasizes the correct prioritization of the hereafter. Saving for immediate or near future needs is permissible, yet it must never overshadow preparation for what is certain, death and the life to follow. Many people acknowledge the certainty of death, yet they act as if they will live indefinitely, allocating their time, energy, and resources almost exclusively to the temporal world. Even if granted the promise of eternal life on earth, they would still find themselves constrained by the limitations of time and the day-night cycle, unable to fully satiate their worldly ambitions. How often do people die earlier than anticipated, only to fail to learn the lesson and adjust their priorities accordingly? One of the greatest pains a person experiences, whether at the moment of death or in the stages of the hereafter, is the deep regret for having delayed preparation for what truly matters. Chapter 63 Al-Munafiqun, verses 10 to 11.
And spend in the way of Allah from what we have provided you before death approaches one of you, and he says, My Lord, if only you would delay me for a brief term so I would give charity and be of the righteous. But never will Allah delay a soul when its time has come. And Allah is aware of what you do.
To illustrate, a person who dedicates years of effort and wealth to constructing a house they will occupy for only a short period would rightly be considered foolish. Similarly, giving precedence to fleeting worldly gains over eternal preparation is an unwise and perilous course. Therefore, people are encouraged to strive for both the world and the hereafter, but always with the awareness that the timing of death is unknown and beyond human control. The certainty of death demands that preparation for the hereafter must take precedence over uncertain worldly ambitions. Proper planning involves using one's time, wealth, and abilities in ways that align with the guidance of Allah, the Exalted, thereby securing a balanced mental and physical state, correctly placing everything and everyone in their life, and preparing fully for the accountability on Judgment Day when powerful and firm structures will fall apart. Chapter 70 Al-Ma'arij, verses 8 to 10.
On the day the sky will be like murky oil, and the mountains will be like wool.
If the fate of solid structures is so fragile in the face of divine decree, can one even begin to imagine the condition of the frail and small human being, the same individual who once took pride in worldly relationships, sought comfort through material possessions, and placed their trust in people rather than Allah, the Exalted? On the Day of Judgment, even these relationships, which were a source of personal pride and worldly support, will abandon them entirely. Chapter 70 Al-Ma'arij, verses 10 to 11.
And no friend will ask a friend. They will be shown each other.
This verse serves as a profound warning about the dangers of poor companionship. Bad company can misguide individuals in this world, leading to spiritual ruin, and ultimately result in regret and isolation in the hereafter. Human beings are inherently social creatures, and their beliefs, habits, and character are deeply shaped by those with whom they associate. This influence can manifest immediately or gradually, subtly taking root over time, but it is always transformative. Companionship, therefore, is never a neutral factor. It is a powerful determinant of values, emotional states, and the trajectory of one's life. The Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, emphasized this truth in a hadith found in Sunan Abu Dawood, number 4833, highlighting the profound spiritual and moral impact of the company one keeps. Just as a person entering a perfume shop carries away its fragrance, or one working in a blacksmith's workshop becomes tainted by its smoke, so too does one inevitably absorb the attitudes, perspectives, and behaviors of those around them. Those who surround themselves with righteous and sincere individuals find their hearts naturally inclined toward humility, honesty, and obedience to Allah, the Exalted. Their companions act as reminders of spiritual responsibility, encourage the correct use of the blessings bestowed upon them, and motivate preparation for accountability on the Day of Judgment. In such company, one's heart is uplifted, intentions purified, and conduct refined. This fosters a balance that is mental, spiritual, and physical, guiding individuals toward lives of purpose, contentment, and moral clarity. Conversely, those who associate with the heedless and misguided gradually adopt similar attitudes and behaviors. This influence often begins subtly, almost imperceptibly, but over time, it erodes spiritual awareness and weakens the connection with Allah, the Exalted. Individuals become increasingly prone to following their fleeting desires, misusing the blessings they have been granted, and neglecting their ultimate purpose. Such spiritual corruption distorts judgment, causing a person to misplace priorities, misuse relationships, and disrupt harmony in their life. When the pursuit of Allah's obedience is replaced with the pursuit of worldly pleasures and misguided ideals, the heart becomes restless and unsettled. Material comforts, no matter how abundant, cannot fill the void left by spiritual neglect. Outward appearances of success and contentment may deceive the eye, but inwardly, such individuals experience anxiety, instability, and dissatisfaction. Their relationships suffer, their minds are disturbed, and their hearts are burdened with guilt and regret. The consequences of poor companionship thus extend beyond this life. They lead to confusion, despair, and moral decay here, and spiritual ruin in the next. By contrast, righteous companionship cultivates inner peace, fortifies faith, and prepares the individual for eternal success. Therefore, a wise person exercises great care in choosing their companions, seeking those whose presence reminds them of Allah, the Exalted, and whose character inspires them to adhere to the path of truth, virtue, and obedience. This conscious selection of company is not merely social prudence. It is an essential element of spiritual survival, peace of mind, and preparation for the day of judgment. But if one fails to adopt the right companionship, and fails to place each person within their life in the correct place, as outlined in Islamic teachings, and instead allows people to become a source of disobeying Allah, the Exalted, then they will not only become a source of stress for them in this world, but on Judgment Day, they will be willing to sacrifice the same people they sacrificed the obedience of Allah, the Exalted, to please, in order to save themselves. Chapter 70 Al-Ma'arij, verses 11 to 14.
The criminal will wish that he could be ransomed from the punishment of that day by his children, and his wife and his brother, and his nearest kindred who shelter him, and whoever is on earth entirely, so then it could save him.
These verses do not encourage one to abandon their relationships in this world. Rather, they encourage one to fulfill the rights of people according to the teachings of Islam, thereby ensuring they do not become a source of disobeying Allah, the Exalted, for them. For example, one must fulfill the rights of their child, such as providing provision for them and providing them with worldly and religious education. But they must not allow their love for them to encourage them to disobey Allah, the Exalted, such as earning unlawful provision in order to satisfy the desires of their child. They must not allow raising their child to prevent them from their duties towards Allah, the Exalted, which includes learning and acting on Islamic teachings so that they correctly use the blessings He has granted them, and raising their child must not prevent them from fulfilling the rights of others, as outlined in Islamic teachings. However, if a person fails to correctly place their relationships in the proper context within their life, those very connections, family, friends, colleagues, or even mentors, can become sources of stress and distraction, both in this world and in the hereafter, where no excuses, intercession, or repentance will be accepted to remove the consequences of mismanagement. Chapter 70 Al-Ma'arij, verses 15 to 16.
No. Indeed, it is the flame of hell, a remover of exteriors.
The vivid descriptions of the Day of Judgment, hell, and other aspects of the hereafter in Islamic teachings serve a critical purpose. They counteract the false beliefs and complacency that past nations often adopted, beliefs that minimized these realities, mocked them, or treated them as inconsequential. This dismissive attitude was rooted in wishful thinking. People continued to disobey Allah, the Exalted, while clinging to the illusion that they could still attain salvation without personal accountability. Such false assumptions have appeared in many forms across generations. Some rely on the intercession of a righteous person without undertaking personal reform, mistakenly believing that the merits of others alone can secure their salvation. Others presume that a mere verbal declaration of faith suffices, or that excuses and superficial repentance will automatically shield them on the Day of Judgment, regardless of their deeds. Some even assume that the punishments of the hereafter will mirror worldly punishments, and therefore be limited or forgivable. To correct these misconceptions, Islamic teachings portray the realities of the hereafter in detailed, unambiguous terms. These descriptions are not intended to instill despair, but rather to awaken hearts to the gravity of accountability, and to motivate sincere practical obedience to Allah, the Exalted. Such obedience involves correctly using the blessings one has been granted in ways that please Him, as outlined in the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. By internalizing these lessons, a person is protected from complacency, shielded from false hopes, and guided toward a life of sincerity and accountability. This includes placing relationships, wealth, responsibilities, and desires in their proper place, thereby achieving balance in mental and physical well-being. Ultimately, such guidance ensures that one not only avoids punishment but also attains success in both worlds, cultivating harmony, purpose, and peace of mind through the proper ordering of one's life. Allah, the Exalted, cautions that mere verbal acknowledgement of faith is insufficient. Practical adherence to Islamic teachings is essential. Words alone cannot secure peace of mind in this life or the next, nor can they ensure a person attains a balanced mental and physical state, or places everything and everyone correctly within their life. Chapter 70 Al-Ma'arij, verse 17.
It, i.e., hell, invites he who turned his back on truth and went away from obedience.
In this world, a person may be legally recognized as a Muslim based on their verbal declaration of faith. Yet in the hereafter, each individual will be judged by Allah, the Exalted, according to the reality of their heart and intentions, which remain hidden from others. Consequently, one who claims faith verbally but fails to support it with action may, in truth, lack genuine belief. On the Day of Judgment, such a person could be treated as a non-Muslim, despite the legal status they held in this life. Moreover, neglecting to reinforce faith with righteous deeds carries the grave risk of losing it entirely before death. Faith is like a delicate flame that requires constant nourishment. Without this spiritual fuel, acts of obedience and devotion, it weakens and may be extinguished. Just as a fire dies without fuel, a person's faith can fade if neglected, depriving them of the inner light that guides their decisions, behavior, and priorities. The loss of this guiding light is the greatest deprivation, for it leaves the soul vulnerable, directionless, and exposed to the consequences of misusing the blessings granted by Allah, the Exalted. In essence, verbal affirmation without practical obedience is hollow. True faith demands action, consistent care, and sincere effort, which together sustain the flame of belief, maintain balance in one's life, and prepare the individual for ultimate accountability on the Day of Judgment. When a person fails to align their actions with their verbal declaration of faith in Allah, the Exalted, or outright denies Him, the blessings they have been granted will be misused. Chapter 70 Al-Ma'arij, verse 18.
And collected worldly things and hoarded.
Such behavior disrupts the natural balance of their mental and physical state. Their priorities become distorted, and they misplace people, relationships, and resources within their life. Consequently, they fail to prepare adequately for their accountability on the Day of Judgment. This neglect brings about stress, confusion, and suffering, regardless of the material comforts or luxuries they may enjoy. Furthermore, by prioritizing personal desires over divine guidance and neglecting their responsibilities to others, these individuals contribute to broader societal harm. Their actions or inactions encourage the spread of injustice and corruption, as the misuse of blessings often leads to oppression, exploitation, and the erosion of trust and harmony within communities. In this way, failing to act on faith has consequences not only for the individual, but also for the well-being and moral fabric of society as a whole. The primary reason a person prioritizes amassing and hoarding worldly possessions, such as wealth, instead of using them correctly as guided by Islamic teachings, stems from fear and anxiety, particularly the fear of encountering difficulties like financial hardship. This fear often reflects weak faith, which makes a person impatient when facing trials and reluctant to act responsibly with the blessings they receive. Chapter 70 Al-Ma'arij, verses 19 to 21.
Indeed, mankind was created anxious. When evil touches him, impatient. And when good touches him, withholding of it.
These verses highlight a fundamental aspect of human nature: anxiety, impatience, and selfishness. When difficulties arise, a person with weak faith becomes easily distressed and struggles to maintain composure. Conversely, when they acquire blessings, they tend to withhold them out of fear, hoarding wealth instead of using it in ways that benefit themselves and others. Such behavior prevents the individual from achieving a balanced mental and physical state, misplaces priorities in life, and hinders proper preparation for accountability on the day of judgment. To prevent such detrimental outcomes, one must cultivate strong faith, a faith that anchors patience during trials and fosters gratitude during times of ease. This profound faith is developed through understanding and applying the clear guidance and teachings found in the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. These teachings demonstrate that sincere obedience to Allah, the Exalted, leads to true peace and contentment, both in this life and the hereafter. Conversely, those who lack knowledge of Islamic principles are prone to weak faith, making them more susceptible to straying from obedience, particularly when personal desires conflict with divine commands. Ignorance can obscure the reality that surrendering one's immediate desires in favor of following Allah's, the Exalted, guidance is the key to attaining lasting tranquility in both worlds. Therefore, it is essential for every person to actively strengthen their faith through the acquisition of Islamic knowledge and its practical application. Doing so enables consistent obedience to Allah, the Exalted, and ensures the proper use of the blessings granted to them. When these principles are embraced, an individual achieves a harmonious mental and physical state, gains the ability to organize their life effectively, and prioritizes all aspects of their existence according to divine guidance. This alignment not only safeguards their well-being in this world, but also prepares them to face their accountability on the day of judgment with clarity and confidence. An important quality of strong faith, as highlighted in the following verses, is the establishment of the obligatory prayers. Chapter 70 Al-Ma'arij, verses 22 to 23.
Except the observers of prayer, those who are constant in their prayer.
The repeated emphasis on establishing the obligatory prayers within Islamic teachings reflects the central role prayer plays in a person's life. Prayer is the foundation upon which all other good actions are built, and the primary means through which a person maintains a strong connection with Allah, the Exalted. Through prayer, individuals regularly renew their commitment to obedience and remain mindful of their ultimate purpose and accountability. However, establishing prayer correctly involves far more than simply performing a series of physical movements. True prayer requires humility, attentiveness, and reflection. When a person understands the deeper meanings behind the different positions of prayer, they are reminded of the realities of the hereafter, and their standing before Allah, the Exalted. In this way, prayer becomes a constant reminder of the day of judgment, and encourages individuals to reform their conduct throughout the day. For this reason, the 5 obligatory prayers are spread across the day and night, rather than performed together. Each prayer serves as a pause in worldly activity, allowing a person to reflect on their behavior and realign their actions with divine guidance. When a person stands upright during the prayer, they should remember that this posture resembles how humanity will stand before Allah, the Exalted, on the day of judgment. Chapter 83 Al-Mutaffifin, verses 4 to 6.
Do they not think that they will be resurrected? For a tremendous day, the day when mankind will stand before the Lord of the worlds.
When one bows during prayer, it should remind them that many people will be criticized on the day of judgment for refusing to bow before Allah, the Exalted, during their lives on earth. Chapter 77 Al-Mursalat, verse 48.
And when it is said to them, bow in prayer, they do not bow.
This criticism is not limited to the physical act of bowing. It also includes the failure to submit to the commands of Allah, the Exalted, in one's daily life. True bowing represents humility and submission, both within the prayer and in all aspects of life. When a person prostrates, they are reminded of another powerful scene from the Day of Judgment. On that day, people will be invited to prostrate before Allah, the Exalted, but those who fail to sincerely prostrate to Him during their worldly life will be unable to do so. Chapter 68 Al-Kalam, verses 42 to 43.
On the day when matters become dire, they will be invited to prostrate themselves but will be prevented from doing so. Their eyes humbled, humiliation will cover them. And they used to be invited to prostration while they were sound.
When a person sits on their knees during the prayer, this posture should remind them of the moment when people will sit before Allah, the Exalted, awaiting judgment. Chapter 45 Al-Jatiya, verse 28.
And you will see every nation kneeling from fear. Every nation will be called to its record and told, "Today you will be recompensed for what you used to do."
Reflecting on these meanings transforms the prayer from a routine action into a profound reminder of accountability and purpose. A person who performs the prayer with these reflections in mind truly establishes the prayer as intended. Such prayer influences their conduct throughout the rest of the day and helps them remain obedient to Allah, the Exalted, between the prayer times. Chapter 29 Al-Ankabut, verse 45.
Indeed, prayer prohibits immorality and wrongdoing.
When prayer is established in this manner, it strengthens faith and encourages individuals to use the blessings they have been granted in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted, as outlined in the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Fulfilling the rights of people is an essential part of obedience to Allah, the Exalted. Chapter 70 Al-Ma'arij, verses 24 to 25.
And those within whose wealth is a known right. For the petitioner and the deprived.
The first point to understand from this verse is that assisting those in need is described as a right that belongs to them. It is not presented as an act of charity that one performs as a favor. Rather, it is a responsibility placed upon those who possess wealth and resources. When a person recognizes this reality, they approach helping the needy with seriousness and urgency, just as they would approach other obligations commanded by Allah, the Exalted, such as the daily obligatory prayers. For this reason, individuals must ensure that they assist those who are socially vulnerable within society, according to their ability. This includes people such as orphans and widows, whose circumstances often leave them without adequate support. In the present age, fulfilling this responsibility has become easier than ever before. Sponsorship programs for orphans and widows can often be arranged within minutes through online platforms, and the financial contribution required is frequently smaller than many routine monthly expenses. Therefore, there is little justification for neglecting this important duty. Islamic teachings place immense reward on caring for the needy. The continuous support of Allah, the Exalted, in both worlds is granted to those who support others. This has been confirmed in a hadith found in Sahih Muslim, number 6853. In addition, the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, state that the one who cares for an orphan will be granted closeness to him in paradise. This has been recorded in a hadith found in Sahih Bukhari, number 6005. Likewise, supporting the needy, such as a widow, carries immense reward, as the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, explain that such a person receives the reward similar to one who spends the night in voluntary prayer and spends the day in voluntary fasting. This is recorded in a hadith found in Sahih Bukhari, number 6006. Therefore, even those who find it difficult to perform voluntary acts of worship can attain great reward by assisting those in need. It is also important to remember that whatever means a person possesses, whether wealth, influence, strength, or other resources, has been granted by Allah, the Exalted, as a trust and loan rather than as permanent ownership. A loan must ultimately be returned to its rightful owner. The way this trust is repaid is by using these blessings in ways that please Allah, the Exalted. When a person helps the needy, they are in reality fulfilling this obligation and repaying part of the trust they have been given. Reflecting on this reality protects a person from developing an incorrect attitude toward charity. They will not see themselves as doing a favor to Allah, the Exalted, or to the needy individual. Instead, they will recognize that Allah, the Exalted, has honored them by granting them resources and by providing them with an opportunity to earn immense reward. In fact, the needy person also performs a favor by accepting assistance, as their acceptance allows the giver to obtain the reward promised in divine teachings. If those in need refused help, then the opportunity to earn these rewards would disappear. Remembering this truth helps a person maintain humility and prevents them from nullifying their reward through arrogance or pride. Finally, assisting the needy is not limited solely to financial aid. The rights of people include addressing any lawful need they may have. This may involve providing emotional support, physical assistance, guidance, or financial help depending on the circumstances. Because of this broad understanding, no person can excuse themselves from acting upon this verse, regardless of how little wealth they possess. Everyone has some form of ability through which they can assist others, and fulfilling these responsibilities is an important means of earning the pleasure of Allah, the Exalted, while establishing harmony and compassion within society. Strong belief in the Day of Judgment is repeatedly emphasized throughout the Holy Quran, because it ensures that a person holds themselves accountable during their life in this world. Chapter 70 Al-Ma'arij, verse 26.
And those who believe in the day of recompense.
True belief in accountability on Judgment Day plays a vital role in shaping both individual character and the condition of society. Inner peace and justice within a community are closely tied to the conviction that every action will ultimately be judged by Allah, the Exalted. When this belief is firmly rooted in a person's heart, it encourages them to carefully examine their conduct and to ensure that the blessings granted to them are used in ways that please Allah, the Exalted. Without belief in accountability, individuals are far more likely to misuse the blessings they have been granted, such as wealth, health, authority, and influence. Instead of viewing these blessings as responsibilities, they begin to treat them as tools for personal gain. Wealth may become a means of greed, authority a tool for exploitation, and relationships a way to serve selfish interests. This misuse not only removes inner tranquility from a person's life, but also leads to the violation of the rights of others. When people convince themselves that they will not be held accountable for their actions, they may feel emboldened to wrong others, especially when they believe they can escape worldly authorities. In such circumstances, blessings lose their true purpose and instead become instruments of oppression. This mindset gradually spreads injustice throughout society, as individuals prioritize their desires over truth, fairness, and responsibility. Belief in Judgment Day prevents this corruption. It acts as a powerful restraint upon human desires, and reminds a person that every action, word, and intention will be examined. Chapter 70 Al-Ma'arij, verses 27 to 28.
And those who are fearful of the punishment of their Lord. Indeed, the punishment of their Lord is not that from which one is safe.
This awareness cultivates humility, sincerity, and responsibility. A person who believes in divine accountability understands that no injustice will remain hidden, and that every right will ultimately be restored. This belief therefore encourages individuals to act with fairness and integrity, even when no human authority is present to observe them. History and daily observation both demonstrate this reality. When societies abandon the concept of accountability, whether divine or moral, corruption inevitably spreads. Laws may be manipulated, rights ignored, and oppression normalized. In contrast, when accountability is upheld, justice becomes stronger and communities function with greater harmony. On an individual level, belief in Judgment Day helps a person place every blessing in its proper position. Wealth is used responsibly to support family and assist the needy, authority is exercised with justice, and relationships are maintained with sincerity and compassion. This balanced approach brings peace of mind, as a person recognizes that they are living according to the guidance of Allah, the Exalted. On a societal level, the same belief strengthens justice and stability. When people recognize that their actions carry consequences beyond this world, they are more careful in fulfilling the rights of others and avoiding oppression. This awareness fosters trust, compassion, and cooperation within communities. In contrast, when belief in accountability is weakened or abandoned, imbalance begins to appear. Blessings are misused, responsibilities are neglected, and individuals begin to prioritize their desires above justice. Over time, this behavior damages families, weakens communities, and leads societies toward instability. Ultimately, belief in Judgment Day is not merely a matter of doctrine. It serves as a practical foundation for both personal tranquility and social justice. When this belief is strong, blessings are used correctly, rights are fulfilled, and peace becomes attainable in both this world and the hereafter. When it is absent, imbalance and injustice inevitably prevail. As Islam is a complete code of conduct, which ensures peace of mind is achieved on an individual and societal level, It often addresses the social relationships between people. Chapter 70 Al-Ma'arij, verses 29 to 31.
And those who guard their private parts, except from their wives or those their right hands possess, for indeed they are not to be blamed. But whoever seeks beyond that, then they are the transgressors.
Allah, the Exalted, encourages marriage and forbids unlawful relationships. When a couple are not truly devoted to one another, as is the case with a married couple, any genuine difficulties they encounter often lead to increased emotional strain, as they fail to support one another in the proper manner. Moving in and out of multiple relationships throughout life undoubtedly has a detrimental effect on mental well-being. It is therefore unsurprising that many individuals who separate from their partners eventually seek counseling and experience mental health disorders, such as depression, more frequently than those who avoid such relationships. In addition, individuals who are widely known within society for having multiple partners are often less likely to find a suitable spouse who will fulfill their rights. This occurs because those who have had numerous partners may gradually adopt a loose and undesirable character, which people seeking a serious and lifelong commitment, such as marriage, would naturally find unattractive. This circumstance only increases the emotional stress experienced by those who have had multiple partners. In casual relationships, the couple are frequently not aligned in their expectations. One of the two often treats the relationship more seriously, perhaps hoping to settle down with the other, while the other person does not share the same outlook regarding the future. When this difference in attitude eventually becomes apparent, it commonly results in lasting emotional trauma for the one who was more emotionally invested. In contrast, a married couple begin their relationship with a shared understanding of their long-term commitment to one another. Such a couple are devoted to supporting each other in every circumstance, whether they face situations that are planned or unexpected, such as the arrival of children. This degree of mutual commitment is rarely found among ordinary couples outside marriage. Furthermore, being in a relationship prior to marriage often creates the illusion that one fully understands the character of their partner. Consequently, when such individuals later marry, they frequently complain that their spouse has changed. In most instances, however, the person has not changed. Rather, the responsibilities and pressures associated with marriage, such as fulfilling the rights of one's spouse and children, have altered the circumstances of the relationship. This misunderstanding often leads to marital difficulties among couples who were previously involved in a relationship before marriage. Even living together prior to marriage does not prevent this issue from arising. It is also widely recognized that difficulties within a romantic relationship often affect every other aspect of a person's life. For example, many young individuals abandon their education simply because they cannot bear to encounter a former partner regularly. Marriage, however, represents a deep and serious bond between two people, and as a result, married couples are generally less likely to separate over the minor issues that commonly cause ordinary couples to break apart. Furthermore, it is widely acknowledged that those who seek partners outside marriage through dating frequently experience emotional turmoil, including stress and despair. Entering the world of dating often resembles an emotional cycle in which individuals repeatedly place their hopes in a new acquaintance, believing that this person may become a suitable partner, either within or outside marriage. During such encounters, individuals frequently present themselves in a more favorable manner than their true character warrants, which raises the expectations of the other person. When their undesirable traits eventually become apparent, those expectations collapse, resulting in disappointment and emotional distress. Repeatedly undergoing this cycle inevitably harms a person's mental state. Indeed, many individuals eventually abandon hope of finding a suitable spouse because they have endured this painful experience too many times. Presenting oneself as better than one truly is far less likely when two people seek marriage, as both recognize that marriage is a lifelong and serious commitment. Consequently, they are generally more inclined to be honest and transparent with one another from the very beginning, unlike the circumstances commonly associated with dating. In addition, the pressure exerted by society to find a partner often creates further mental strain. Some individuals rush into relationships simply to avoid being perceived as abnormal, because they are not involved with someone. Such pressure frequently leads to choosing an unsuitable partner, which ultimately results in greater emotional stress. Although the search for a spouse also carries certain pressures, marriage is widely recognized as a lifelong and serious commitment. Because of this understanding, many people appreciate the importance of carefully selecting the right spouse, and therefore exert less pressure on others to marry immediately. Moreover, marriage can often be postponed until after the completion of education, which relieves some of the mental burden placed upon individuals. In contrast, the social pressure to find a partner outside marriage often begins during the teenage years and continues without interruption. Consequently, the two circumstances do not exert the same emotional effect on a person. Furthermore, a person should not be deceived by the outward appearance of an unlawful relationship by assuming that it causes no harm to the couple or to society at large. Human beings possess limited knowledge, are frequently short-sighted, and are often governed by emotion. Therefore, they may mistakenly believe that relationships outside marriage are harmless while failing to perceive the hidden harm that will ultimately affect both themselves and others. A person involved in an unlawful relationship will gradually be encouraged to take further steps with their partner, and may eventually fall into additional sins. Because emotions are difficult to restrain, and because certain sins, such as fornication, have become normalized in many societies, an unmarried couple may easily fall into such behavior. This leads to numerous additional problems for both the individuals involved and society as a whole, including unwanted pregnancies, and the gradual trivialization of other major sins within Islam. Even if a person does not commit other major sins within an unlawful relationship, such as fornication, their emotional attachment may still prevent them from thinking clearly. As a result, they may eventually marry their partner without recognizing that the individual is not a suitable spouse, even if they initially appeared to be a good partner. As discussed previously, the pressures and responsibilities of marriage, such as fulfilling the rights of a spouse and children, change the dynamics of a relationship and often expose incompatibilities that were previously unnoticed. This is why couples who were together before marriage frequently accuse one another of changing after marriage. In reality, the responsibilities and expectations associated with marriage have simply revealed aspects of character that were previously concealed. Moreover, regardless of the amount of time spent together before marriage, individuals will never understand one another's character as fully as married spouses eventually do. Hidden negative traits inevitably emerge after marriage, which can lead to further marital difficulties. An important truth that is often overlooked by those engaged in unlawful relationships is that a person who appears to be a good partner is not necessarily capable of being a good spouse or a good parent. Different qualities are required for these roles. Because of emotional attachment, a person may neglect the crucial importance of selecting a pious spouse. Only a pious individual will consistently fulfill the rights of a spouse and children, and will refrain from harming them even in moments of anger. In contrast, a person lacking piety will often fail to fulfill these rights and may commit injustice against their family, particularly when anger arises. A person who is emotionally attached to a partner frequently overlooks this essential consideration and proceeds toward marriage based solely on feelings, even if the partner lacks piety. Emotions such as love can render a person blind and deaf to the faults of the one they admire. This reality has been warned about in a hadith found in Sunan Abu Dawood, number 5130. Furthermore, the one who adopts an impious character and therefore has multiple partners will often attract similarly impious people into their life. Such individuals frequently seek only to satisfy their desires and to take advantage of others. As a result, they will neither respect nor fulfill the rights of their partner, even if marriage eventually occurs. When disagreements arise, they may easily resort to verbal abuse, sometimes degrading their partner by referring to their past immodest behavior. Even if apologies follow, such words leave deep emotional scars that may never fully heal, and these wounds can often prove more harmful to a person's mental health than physical harm. Those who attract impious partners because of their own loose character may also face a greater risk of physical abuse from their partner or spouse. Moreover, when the outward qualities that initially attracted the impious partner, such as beauty or physical appeal, begin to fade, that partner may simply seek someone else. This mentality is a major cause of extramarital affairs among those who lack piety. In such circumstances, a partner or spouse may be treated as though they were an object used for a time and then replaced. The emotional trauma caused by this behavior is profound. If children are involved, the situation can become even more painful. In moments of anger or frustration, children may repeat insults they have heard or learned, sometimes directing hurtful remarks, particularly toward the mother, based on past immodest behavior. The emotional damage caused when a child speaks in such a manner to their parent can be extremely difficult to overcome. In contrast, the one who adopts a modest and upright character is more likely to attract similarly modest and righteous people into their life. Such individuals are more inclined to respect and fulfill the rights of their partner or spouse. Even if harsh words are spoken in moments of anger, they carry little weight because everyone involved recognizes that such accusations are untrue. If such a couple have children, the children are far more likely to respect both parents because of the modest and honorable character they observe in them. Additionally, children who are born unintentionally from unlawful relationships often place further strain upon the relationship between the parents. This pressure frequently leads to separation, as one or both individuals may be unwilling to assume the responsibility of raising a child. The result is often a broken home in which the child grows up without the consistent support and guidance of both parents. Such circumstances frequently lead to difficulties for both the child and society. It is widely observed that a significant proportion of youth involved in crime, gangs, exploitation by predators, or domestic violence come from unstable or broken families. Raising a child properly is challenging, even when the parents sincerely desire a child. One can therefore imagine the emotional burden of attempting to raise a child when the parent never wished for the responsibility in the first place. This situation can negatively affect the upbringing of the child and contribute to many of the social problems already mentioned. In many cases, the stress leads a single parent to place the child into fostering or adoption. While this may sometimes be necessary, it often has long-term emotional consequences for the child and can increase the likelihood of confusion, instability, and misguidance in later life. All of these and many other harmful consequences of unlawful relationships are often not recognized by those who are governed by emotion or ignorance, even though such relationships may outwardly appear harmless. Engaging in unlawful relationships resembles consuming a meal that appears appealing but is in reality poisoned. Because the poison is concealed, a person must rely upon the guidance of one who is aware of its danger, and trust their counsel to avoid consuming what appears attractive, even if doing so contradicts personal desires. As Allah, the Exalted, alone possesses complete knowledge of all things, especially the hidden harm contained within certain actions and relationships, His guidance must be accepted and acted upon, even when it conflicts with individual inclinations. This situation resembles that of a wise patient who faithfully follows the advice of a skilled physician. Even if the prescribed treatment includes bitter medicine and strict discipline, the patient accepts it, recognizing that such measures are necessary for recovery and long-term well-being. In the same manner, the person who sincerely accepts and practices the teachings of Islam will achieve sound mental and physical well-being. This is because only Allah, the Exalted, possesses the complete knowledge required to ensure that human beings attain a balanced mental and physical state. The understanding of human mental and physical conditions possessed by society will never be sufficient to achieve this outcome, despite the extensive research undertaken. Human knowledge cannot resolve every difficulty that a person may encounter in life, nor can it prevent all forms of mental and physical distress, as it remains limited in knowledge, experience, and foresight. Allah, the Exalted, alone possesses perfect knowledge, and He has granted guidance to humanity through the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. This truth becomes evident when one observes the difference between those who correctly use the blessings they have been granted, in accordance with Islamic teachings, and those who do not. Allah, the Exalted, has addressed these numerous secondary problems by treating their root cause, namely by forbidding unlawful relationships and encouraging marriage, through which a couple sincerely devote themselves to one another and to the upbringing of their children. By addressing matters such as marriage, divorce, widows, and children in the Holy Quran, Allah, the Exalted, has provided the foundation for a successful and stable society. When members of a family, whether they remain together or are separated, fulfill one another's rights and provide a stable and nurturing environment for their children, a positive ripple effect spreads throughout society. Conversely, when a family is characterized by unhappiness and the failure to fulfill mutual rights, a negative ripple effect spreads throughout society. Throughout history, many thinkers have attempted to address the challenges faced by individuals and communities. However, because their proposed solutions often focus only on secondary issues, their benefits remain limited. In contrast, Allah, the Exalted, addresses the fundamental causes that influence both individuals and society. Through this method, He has clarified the principles necessary for people to achieve success in both this world and the hereafter. Chapter 16 and Nahl, verse 89.
And we have sent down to you the book as clarification for all things, and as guidance and mercy.
However, only those who properly employ the intelligence they have been granted will perceive the profound wisdom contained within the verses of Allah, the Exalted. Chapter 2 Al-Baqarah, verse 242.
Thus does Allah make clear to you His verses that you might use reason.
Allah, the Exalted, then continues by emphasizing the importance of fulfilling the responsibilities connected to both religious and worldly matters. Chapter 70 Al-Ma'arij, verse 32.
And those who are to their trusts and promises attentive.
One of the clear signs of hypocrisy mentioned in a hadith found in Sahih Bukhari, number 2749, is betraying trusts. Trusts include all responsibilities placed upon a person by Allah, the Exalted, as well as those entrusted to them by other people. Every blessing a person possesses, such as wealth, health, knowledge, strength, and authority, has been entrusted to them by Allah, the Exalted. These blessings are not permanent possessions, but responsibilities that must be used correctly. The only way to fulfill these trusts is by using them in ways that please Allah, the Exalted, as outlined in the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. When a person fulfills these trusts correctly, they demonstrate true gratitude for the blessings they have been granted. This sincere gratitude leads to an increase in blessings, and brings peace of mind in both worlds, by helping a person achieve balance in their mental and physical state, and by ensuring that everything and everyone in their life is placed in its proper position. Chapter 14 Ibrahim, verse 7.
And remember when your Lord proclaimed, If you are grateful, I will surely increase you in favor.
Trusts between people are equally important to fulfill. When someone entrusts their belongings or responsibilities to another person, they must be treated with honesty and care. A person should not misuse what has been entrusted to them, and should only deal with it according to the wishes of its rightful owner. Among the greatest trusts between people is safeguarding confidential conversations. When someone shares something in confidence, it becomes a trust that should not be disclosed, unless there is a clear and legitimate benefit in doing so. Unfortunately, this responsibility is often neglected. A wise person remembers that the way they treat the trusts of others is the same way they would wish their own trusts to be treated. Trusts also include the people placed under one's care, such as family members and dependents. A person must strive to fulfill the rights of those under their responsibility, according to the teachings of Islam. For example, parents carry the responsibility of guiding their children toward understanding and practicing the teachings of the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Fulfilling this duty ensures that children develop good character and grow with a clear sense of purpose and responsibility. Another sign of hypocrisy mentioned in the hadith referred to earlier is breaking promises. The greatest promise a person has made is the one made with Allah, the Exalted, when they accepted Him as their Lord and God. This promise requires fulfilling His commands, avoiding His prohibitions, and facing life's circumstances with patience in accordance with the guidance found in the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. In addition to this, all promises made with other people should be honored unless a person has a genuine and valid excuse. This is especially important when dealing with children. When parents frequently break promises, it teaches children harmful habits and may lead them to believe that dishonesty and deception are acceptable traits. The seriousness of breaking promises is clearly highlighted in a hadith found in Sahih Bukhari, number 2227, in which Allah, the Exalted, declares that He will oppose the one who makes a promise in His name, and then breaks it without a valid reason. It is therefore extremely dangerous for a person to treat promises lightly. How could someone hope to succeed on Judgment Day if Allah, the Exalted, stands against them? For this reason, it is often wiser to avoid making promises unless they are necessary. However, when a lawful promise is made, a person must make every effort to fulfill it. By carefully guarding trusts and honoring promises, individuals protect their character, strengthen their relationships, and secure success in both this world and the hereafter. Another major sin to avoid, which is sadly very common amongst the Muslim world, is perjury. Chapter 70 Al-Ma'arij, verse 33.
And those who are in their testimonies upright.
In a hadith found in Sahih Bukhari, number 2673, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, warned that the one who acts as a false witness in order to unlawfully take the possessions of others will meet Allah, the Exalted, while He is angry with them. It is important to understand that this ruling applies to the possessions of all people, regardless of their faith. Wrongfully taking the property of another person through false testimony remains a grave sin, even if someone appears outwardly obedient in other aspects of their life, such as performing the obligatory prayers. Unfortunately, this wrongdoing is common in some societies, particularly where individuals submit false claims in legal courts in order to seize wealth, land, or property that does not belong to them. According to a hadith found in Sahih Bukhari, number 2654, false testimony is counted among the greatest of major sins. In this hadith, perjury is mentioned alongside polytheism and disobedience to parents, highlighting the severity of this crime. Chapter 22 Al-Hajj, verse 30.
So avoid the uncleanliness of idols, and avoid false statement.
The seriousness of false testimony is further emphasized in a hadith found in Sunan Ibn Majah, number 2373. It warns that the one who fails to sincerely repent from acting as a false witness will not move on the Day of Judgment, until Allah, the Exalted, commands that they be taken to hell. Another severe warning is mentioned in a hadith found in Sahih Muslim, number 353, which explains that a person who falsely testifies in order to take something that does not belong to them will face punishment even if the thing taken is as small as a twig from a tree. False testimony is such a serious sin, because it involves several other major sins at the same time. Firstly, it includes deliberate lying. Secondly, it causes direct harm to the person against whom the false testimony is given. This wrongdoing falls under the rights of people, and such sins are not forgiven by Allah, the Exalted, unless the victim forgives the offender first. If forgiveness is not granted, justice will be established on Judgment Day by transferring the good deeds of the wrongdoer to the victim. If the good deeds are exhausted, the sins of the victim will be transferred to the wrongdoer. This reality has been confirmed in a hadith found in Sahih Muslim, number 6579. Such an outcome may ultimately lead the false witness to be thrown into hell. In addition, the one who provides false testimony on behalf of another person also commits a grave sin by helping them unlawfully obtain something that does not belong to them. This behavior clearly contradicts the command of the Holy Quran, which instructs people to assist one another in righteousness rather than wrongdoing. Chapter 5 Al-Ma'idah, verse 2.
And cooperate in righteousness and piety, but do not cooperate in sin and aggression.
Another danger connected to this sin is that anything obtained through false testimony becomes unlawful. For example, if wealth is acquired through such deception and later given in charity, it will not be accepted. Instead, it will be recorded as a sin because Allah, the Exalted, only accepts what is lawful. This has been confirmed in a hadith found in Sahih Muslim, number 2342. In reality, any benefit derived from such unlawfully obtained wealth will lack blessing and will become a source of sin for the one who possesses it. Therefore, it is essential for every person to remain truthful in all situations, whether in ordinary conversation or while giving testimony in legal matters. Lying leads to further sins, and persistent lying ultimately leads to punishment. The Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, warned in a hadith found in Jami at Tirmidhi, number 1971, that a person who continues to lie will eventually be recorded by Allah the Exalted as a habitual liar. The consequences of such a label on Judgment Day are extremely serious. Finally, unlawfully taking the possessions of others, whether through legal manipulation, false testimony, or any other method, must be completely avoided. Such behavior contradicts the character expected from a righteous person. The true person of integrity is the one from whose words and actions other people and their possessions remain safe. This principle has been highlighted in a hadith found in Sunan and Nasai, number 4998. A wise individual therefore treats the rights, property, and dignity of others with the same care and respect that they would wish for themselves. By upholding truthfulness and justice in all dealings, a person safeguards their character, protects the rights of others, and secures success in both this world and the hereafter, through obtaining a balanced mental and physical state, and through correctly placing everything and everyone within their life. The Holy Quran concludes the discussion of these key characteristics by emphasizing the significance of the obligatory prayers, underscoring their role as the central pillar of all virtuous actions. Chapter 70 Al-Ma'arij, verse 34.
And those who carefully maintain their prayer.
The establishment of the obligatory prayers serves as a continual practical reminder throughout the day, prompting a person to align their actions with the commands of Allah, the Exalted, and to actively prepare for their accountability on the Day of Judgment. By performing the prayers correctly, an individual integrates obedience into every aspect of their life, ensuring that the blessings they have been granted are utilized appropriately as outlined in Islamic teachings. This discipline helps achieve a balanced mental and physical state, while also allowing one to correctly prioritize and place everything and everyone in their life. Furthermore, maintaining the prayers ensures that the rights of others are respected, promoting justice and harmony within society. It encourages a lifestyle where blessings are neither misused nor neglected, and where ethical responsibility becomes a natural part of daily conduct. Such adherence fosters both personal and communal well-being, establishing a foundation for lasting peace and stability. Chapter 70 Al-Ma'arij, verse 35.
They will be in gardens honored.
Obedience to Allah, the Exalted, frequently clashes with human inclinations and worldly desires. As a result, many individuals turn away from the divine guidance revealed through Islam and instead pursue avenues that allow them to indulge in these desires, such as social media, fashion, or prevailing cultural trends. Chapter 70 Al-Ma'arij, verses 36 to 37.
So what is the matter with those who disbelieve, hastening from before you, from the right and left in separate groups?
In truth, every person who abandons the divine code of conduct has a fundamental motivation: the gratification of worldly desires. Human-devised systems of conduct, no matter how sophisticated they appear, are ultimately shaped by personal ambitions, inclinations, and self-interest. Unlike divine law, which is founded upon wisdom, justice, and mercy, man-made codes are crafted to justify and perpetuate the desires of those who wield power and influence. The wealthy and influential are often most entrenched in this mindset. Accepting the truth of Islam would require submission to a higher moral authority, one that imposes limits on unchecked desires, prevents the exploitation of others, and curtails self-indulgence. Recognizing this, those in positions of power often reject divine guidance, not due to a lack of evidence or clarity, but out of fear of losing worldly privileges. They may even actively encourage others to follow their lead, preserving their influence and status at the expense of their eternal well-being. This pattern is consistent throughout history. The earliest opponents of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, were frequently the elites and leaders who feared that adherence to divine guidance would expose their injustices and restrain their authority. Their opposition was not rooted in intellectual doubt or lack of understanding. The signs of Allah, the Exalted, were clear and manifest. Rather, it originated from arrogance, pride, and an unwillingness to subordinate their desires to the commands of the Creator. Thus, the rejection of divine guidance is rarely a debate over truth versus falsehood. Instead, it is a matter of the heart, a refusal to discipline one's desires, restrain personal ambitions, and submit fully to the authority of Allah, the Exalted. This human tendency, when left unchecked, leads to the misuse of blessings, social discord, and ultimately, spiritual ruin in both this world and the hereafter. Despite this undeniable truth, people who turn away from divine guidance still harbor the strange expectation that they will somehow attain peace of mind and success in both worlds. They desire tranquility, stability, and salvation, yet they refuse to follow the only path that leads to these outcomes. True peace can only be granted by Allah, the Exalted, for He alone guides people to a balanced mental and physical state, and enables them to place every matter and every relationship in its proper place. Chapter 70 Al-Ma'arij, verses 38-39.
Does every person among them aspire to enter a garden of pleasure? No.
Allah, the Exalted, then directs people to reflect on their origins so that they may recognize His wisdom, appreciate the blessings He has bestowed, and acknowledge His complete authority over their existence. Chapter 70 Al-Ma'arij, verse 40.
Indeed, we have created them from that which they know.
Anyone who examines the human body with sincerity and an open mind will realize that its precise structure, the harmony of organs, bones, senses, and biological systems, could not have emerged without intention, knowledge, and power. If even a simple tool or device cannot be designed, assembled, and maintained without a skilled maker, it is far more unreasonable to imagine that the human being, with its astonishingly complex physical, mental, and emotional mechanisms, came into existence and continues to function without a creator and sustainer. The body operates through countless interconnected processes that must remain in perfect equilibrium for life to continue. A slight disturbance in this balance can lead to illness or death, which further demonstrates the necessity of constant divine control, care, and maintenance. Allah, the Exalted, created people with free will and the capacity to choose obedience. Yet He is fully capable of replacing those who persist in neglecting His guidance with others who recognize His oneness and the countless blessings He has granted them, showing gratitude by using those blessings correctly according to Islamic teachings. Chapter 70 Al-Ma'arij, verses 40-41.
So I swear by the Lord of all risings and settings that indeed we are able to replace them with better than them, and we are not to be outdone.
This serves as a vital reminder that true obedience to Allah, the Exalted, ultimately benefits the individual alone. Failing to understand this can lead to arrogance, where a person falsely believes they are doing Allah, the Exalted, a favor through their actions. Such pride can obstruct sincere obedience, especially when personal desires conflict with divine commands, steering one away from the right path. Conversely, those who realize that faith and obedience are for their own benefit cultivate humility before Allah, the Exalted. This humility manifests in patience during trials, and gratitude during times of ease. Gratitude is expressed in three ways: through intention, acting solely to please Allah; through speech, by using kind words or remaining silent; and through actions, by using the blessings one has received in accordance with the Holy Quran and the teachings of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Patience involves refraining from complaints in words and deeds, while trusting that Allah, the Exalted, always chooses what is best, even if it is not immediately apparent. Chapter 2 Al-Baqarah, verse 216.
But perhaps you hate a thing and it is good for you, and perhaps you love a thing and it is bad for you. And Allah knows while you know not.
Those who consistently embody this conduct in all circumstances earn the unwavering support and mercy of Allah, the Exalted. This alignment with divine guidance produces peace in both this world and the hereafter, enabling one to maintain a balanced mental and physical state, and correctly prioritize everything and everyone within their life, as highlighted in a hadith found in Sahih Muslim, number 7500. Allah, the Exalted, does not compel guidance upon people, for doing so would undermine the purpose of life's test in this world. Instead, Every individual is granted the freedom to choose their path, yet they remain fully accountable for their actions in both worlds, even if the consequences are not immediately visible. Chapter 70 Al-Ma'arij, verse 42.
So leave them to vain things and amusing themselves, until they meet their day which they are promised.
Those who misuse the blessings granted to them should not be deceived into thinking that the absence of immediate punishment implies immunity. Such neglect disturbs the balance of their mental and physical state, and misplaces priorities in their lives. As a result, even essential elements of life, family, friends, career, and wealth, become sources of stress rather than support. When disobedience persists, individuals often misattribute their difficulties to the wrong people or circumstances, such as blaming a spouse, which further escalates tension. In extreme cases, this pattern can lead to serious mental health issues, including depression, substance abuse, and suicidal tendencies. This reality is clearly observable among those who indulge in worldly pleasures without regard for divine guidance, including the rich and famous. Despite access to material luxuries, their lives remain unsettled because they fail to properly utilize the blessings granted to them. Moreover, by neglecting preparation for their accountability on Judgment Day, they are not only deprived of peace in this world, but also place themselves at risk of far more severe consequences in the hereafter. Chapter 70 Al-Ma'arij, verses 43 to 44.
The day they will emerge from the graves rapidly as if they were toward a goal, hastening. Their eyes humbled, humiliation will cover them. That is the day which they had been promised.
The day of judgment is an absolute and unavoidable reality, a certainty that will inevitably arrive. When one reflects deeply on the universe, countless signs of perfect balance become apparent. The Earth, for example, occupies an exact distance from the Sun, allowing life to exist. A slight deviation in this distance would render the planet uninhabitable. The water cycle functions with precise coordination, moving water from oceans to the atmosphere and then to the land as rainfall, sustaining life in a continuous, harmonious rhythm. Even the soil demonstrates remarkable balance. It is soft enough to allow delicate roots and shoots to grow and yield crops for sustenance, yet strong enough to support the weight of towering structures built upon it. These examples are not merely natural phenomena. They testify to the existence of a wise creator, and highlight the meticulous design and planning inherent in all creation. However, when the actions of human beings are considered, this balance is conspicuously absent. In this world, one often observes the unjust thriving while the righteous suffer. Tyrants, oppressors, and those who commit evil may escape punishment and enjoy worldly luxuries, whereas many faithful Muslims, who sincerely obey Allah the Exalted, face trials, hardships, and challenges, receiving only a fraction of the reward that is due to them. This visible inequity demonstrates that ultimate justice and balance cannot always be fully realized in this world. Therefore, it must be deferred to a time beyond it, the day of judgment, where every action, both seen and hidden, will be weighed with complete fairness. Allah the Exalted could choose to dispense full reward and punishment in this life, yet He grants repeated opportunities for people to repent, reform, and correct their behavior. Likewise, He does not bestow complete reward upon the faithful here because this temporal world is not paradise. It is a place of trial, testing, and preparation. The unseen, including the full reward that awaits in the next life, forms an essential part of faith. Belief in the unseen elevates faith, distinguishing it from reliance on immediate sensory perception. The spiritual significance of preparing for the hereafter is that it requires trust, patience, and perseverance beyond what the eyes can see or the heart can immediately feel. The awareness of inevitable accountability, coupled with hope for ultimate reward, serves as a powerful motivator to avoid sin, exercise restraint, and engage in righteous actions. Conversely, fear of punishment reminds the faithful of the seriousness of disobedience and the weight of every choice made in this world. The day of recompense cannot commence until all human actions have reached completion, which necessitates the eventual end of the material world. This temporal conclusion is not arbitrary. It is a divine prerequisite for justice to be fully realized, ensuring that no act, no matter how small, escapes evaluation. Recognizing this truth should inspire every individual to make deliberate and conscious use of the blessings granted by Allah, the Exalted. acting in accordance with the guidance of the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, allows one to achieve harmony within themselves and their surroundings. Correctly applying these blessings cultivates a balanced mental and physical state, ensures that relationships and responsibilities are properly managed, and facilitates preparedness for accountability on the Day of Judgment. Ultimately, such mindful stewardship of one's life and resources leads to genuine peace of mind, success in both this world and the next, and the proper alignment of all elements and people within one's life, in accordance with divine wisdom. Chapter 45 Al-Jatiyah, verse 22.
For Allah created the heavens and the earth for a purpose, so that every soul may be paid back for what it has committed. And none will be wronged.
And chapter 70 Al-Ma'arij, verse 44.
That is the day which they had been promised.
Therefore, a person must sincerely accept and act upon Islamic teachings for their own benefit, even when doing so contradicts their personal desires. Their approach should resemble that of a wise and patient individual who follows the medical advice of a doctor, knowing it is best for them, despite the bitter taste of medicines or the difficulty of a strict diet. Just as the patient attains improved mental and physical health through obedience to the doctor's guidance, so too will the person who embraces and acts upon Islamic teachings achieve a balanced mental and physical state, as well as the correct placement of everything and everyone within their life. The reason for this lies in the unique and unparalleled knowledge of Allah, the Exalted. Only He possesses the complete understanding necessary to ensure that a person's life is balanced, that their relationships are properly managed, and that their actions align with their ultimate benefit. Human advice, even when grounded in extensive research or professional expertise, is inherently limited. Society's knowledge cannot address every possible challenge an individual may face, prevent all forms of mental and physical stress, or guarantee the proper alignment of relationships and responsibilities. Human guidance is constrained by finite experience, foresight, and personal biases. In contrast, Allah the Exalted provides perfect guidance through the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. This truth becomes evident when observing the lives of those who follow the divine guidance, compared to those who ignore it. While patients may blindly trust a doctor without understanding the science behind their prescriptions, Allah the Exalted invites individuals to reflect upon Islamic teachings so they can comprehend their wisdom and positive impact. Blind acceptance is not expected. Rather, Allah calls for reasoned reflection and recognition of the truthfulness of Islam through its clear proofs. Approaching the teachings with an open and unbiased mind is therefore essential. Chapter 12 Yusuf, verse 108.
Say, this is my way, I invite to Allah with insight, I and those who follow me.
Moreover, Allah the Exalted alone governs the spiritual heart, the true seat of peace of mind. He determines who attains inner tranquility, and who does not. Chapter 53 An-Najm, verse 43.
And that it is He who makes one laugh and weep.
It follows that true peace of mind is granted only to those who use the blessings Allah, the Exalted, has bestowed upon them in the correct manner, in accordance with Islamic teachings. By trusting His guidance, reflecting upon it sincerely, and acting upon it, a person positions themselves to attain not only balance and clarity in this life, but also preparedness and success for the eternal accountability of the Day of Judgment. Chapter 16 An-Nahl, verse 97.
Whoever does righteousness, whether male or female, while he is a believer, we will surely cause him to live a good life, and we will surely give them their reward in the hereafter according to the best of what they used to do.
All praise is due to Allah, Lord of the worlds, and may peace and blessings be upon His final messenger, Muhammad, his noble family and companions.